Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. So, somebody in a recent live stream asked me a good question, and I said I didn't have time to talk about it because it was a question that would take hours to answer. So, I'm going to delve into it a little bit today. We have talked about these subjects many times over the years. But one thing that I realized I haven't been talking about is that, to my knowledge, I'm the only person that is teaching a unified energy practice. This is a practice that contains all of the three major energies that can be used. Now, most people, in fact, virtually nobody knows of the third one unless you're my student, which is the heart mind, or the lightning power of the heart. But the other two everybody has heard of, and that is Kundalini and Chi. And many people, as I've told you many times, many people confuse these two energies. If you type in what is Kundalini, you will see no shortage of websites and videos saying that Kundalini is the life force energy of the earth, and that's just not accurate. It's completely, totally inaccurate. The life force energy is called Chi, or prana, and it is everybody has this. You have it running through your whole body. Breath is about not only getting oxygen in your body, but it's also about bringing Chi energy into your body, life force energy. Kundalini, everybody also has this, but not everybody's Kundalini has been stimulated. And most people, again, do not know what Kundalini is, what it means to have Kundalini awakened. And so we, here at the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel, we teach this, all three of them. Here, if you go to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, I take you through practices, and you just simply hit play and follow along. And if you do the practices that I am teaching, what will happen is you will unify all three of these energies. The two energies that all people have, which is Chi, or life force, and Kundalini in the spinal column, which works with the chakras, and the dormant power hidden in the heart center, which is called by the Chinese the Emperor's bodyguard. It's the fire energy, the lightning energy. It's really Shakti. It's energy. It's feminine energy, and it is self-contained, and it usually stays dormant. It has one function, which is to protect the heart and the soul, which resides in the heart chakra. It protects the heart and the soul from the damage that comes from, the harshness of human living, betrayal, disappointment, hurt, all of those trauma, all of those things that happen which can be damaging to the heart. The lightning center, the lightning energy surrounds the heart and protects it. But there are people who have learned how to take that lightning energy that's normally just focused on protecting the heart and releasing it into the body, out through the meridians, and this is the lightning energy, or the heart mind. To my knowledge, I'm the only person that's unified all three of these practices. I've been doing Qigong and energy work for decades. I've been working with Kundalini. I was a Kundalini yoga teacher for years. And of course, I've been working with the lightning energy, the heart mind energy, also for decades. And this is the first time, to my knowledge, somebody has put all of these together. And so I just realized today that I have a unified energy practice. So if you've been following me and you've been working with me, you didn't know that. You've been working with a unified energy practice that few, if anybody in the world has ever acknowledged or worked with, or is even aware of. So we're going to talk about that. Just to give you an example, I have numerous experiences of Qigong masters, Tai Chi masters, who have done my celestial Qigong, which was the first incarnation of the lightning Qigong. And they wrote me and said, I've been doing Tai Chi for X amount of decades, or I'm a Qigong master, or whatever it is, and I've never felt any energy of this high of a vibration. Now, when I got these testimonials, 10 years ago when I was first, creating this, I didn't really know what to respond other than how wonderful it is. This is a good practice that I've synthesized. But I realize now what was really going on is that those Qigong masters had never been exposed to the power of the lightning energy of the heart released into their meridians. And that's not their fault, because Qigong is designed to work with Qi and Qi only. Kundalini is designed to work only with Kundalini. And so when you put all three of these together, what I've found definitely without a doubt is that the lightning energy of the heart is the energy for this epoch that we're living in. Because what you are experiencing in the world every day is a complete assault on your individuality, your individuation. The forces that be, through all of the crazy nonsense that's been going on over the past 2 years, want to mandate ways to disempower you and disconnect you from your heart, from your soul. And what is the lightning energy? It is the emperor's bodyguard. It is the bodyguard of the soul. It goes to war. When released, it goes to war against evil demonic forces that want to attack your soul, which is exactly what is happening. It has now been, the worldwide corporatocracy which runs the governments plural, of our world, is seeking to destroy your ability to determine your own reality, to determine your own viewpoint. And it is a direct attack on your heart, your soul. So for me, the lightning power is the most powerful energy that we can release in order to combat this. Now, if you're new to my channel, listening to me talk means nothing. You have to do the exercises. So before I go any further, the quickest way to get started is to go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-day Lightning Qigong. If you want to wait until the first, which is in a couple of days, you can, because you're going to get charged as soon as you subscribe. If you can't wait and you want to sign up now, before the first comes, after the first, let me know and I will reimburse you for that. The first time you got charged, so that you'll get a few free days out of it. If you don't want to subscribe, you just got to the channel and you don't know who the heck is this guy, no problem. Go on to my channel, and I want everybody to learn how to do this. If you haven't learned how to do it, even if you've heard me say it, I want you to do it. So the thing that you're going to do is, on YouTube, you're going to type in Thunder Wizard, and you will see my YouTube channel page come up. Thunderwizard.com, Thunderwizard, DOTCOM. And then if you're on a laptop or on a desktop, not the top menu, but the one below it, you'll see videos about, and at the end, on the right-hand side of that, you'll see a magnifying glass. You can click on that, and you can type in whatever search term you want, and you'll see all of the videos that I have pertaining to that. But the easiest thing to do is just to go into my playlists. And I have playlists on Qigong, I have playlists on the Maoshan lightning energy. I have free practices for you to do. The Heaven Earth Qigong, Thor's belt, all that stuff. I don't care. Of course, it is my business, and you will get a much better, more powerful experience if you subscribe or do any of the other stuff here. But I'm just really interested in giving people the information and the technology, which is the practice. We must be doing the practice. That's what's going to change things. So, having said that, let's get into today's lecture, which is we are going to talk about Kundalini, the 7 chakras. We'll talk about the 3 Dantians and the 3 shamanic selves if we get around to it. And of course, we'll talk about the lightning Qigong, the lightning energy, which I've already just explained a little bit. So let's start with Kundalini, because this is the least understood, most widely revered energy in the spiritual community. And people love to talk about Kundalini. People love to talk about saying, my Kundalini was awakened, my Kundalini experience. And having been a Kundalini yoga teacher, I roll my eyes every time I see that. Let me be clear before we go any further. A Kundalini experience in and of itself is meaningless. A Kundalini experience, first off, assuming that your experience is actually Kundalini, which many times people have an experience and they call it a Kundalini experience because they had tingly sensations or something like that and they think it's Kundalini. That doesn't necessarily mean you had a Kundalini experience. But Kundalini experiences are not the result of Kundalini rising. Kundalini experiences, when you have hot flashes, when you have visions, when you flop on the floor like a fish, when you feel energy moving up the spine and your hands tingle, or whatever, all these different kinds of experiences people have about Kundalini. That means that there is imbalance and or impurities in your nervous system. If it really is a Kundalini stimulated experience, then the Kundalini is burning through the impurities and or the psychological imbalance. And that's why there's a thing called Kundalini Psychosis. So if just having your Kundalini stimulated means that you're going to become enlightened, that would mean that everybody that had their Kundalini stimulated would become enlightened, but we have this other thing called Kundalini Psychosis. And what ends up happening is something that makes sense when you understand what Kundalini is. As I said before, there's no shortage of websites or videos, or you just type in anywhere, what is Kundalini? And people will say, Kundalini is the life force energy of the universe, which is nonsense. Complete, total, utter nonsense. It is not that. So when people think they've stimulated Kundalini, etc., etc. Kundalini is a purely human energy. It is an energy within human beings that allows them to fuse their limited human psyche with mature awareness. So the whole idea of becoming self-aware, why Kundalini is associated with self-awareness. Self-awareness, you can call it enlightenment if you want. But when you die, your Kundalini dies with your body. Kundalini doesn't go with you anywhere. The only thing that goes when you leave is your soul. The rest of it are just parts of your human body. Kundalini is an interface. So to fully understand what Kundalini is, we have to understand the relationship with Kundalini and the chakras. Yes, I said chakra, not chakra. It's not pronounced chakra, it's pronounced chakra. The chakras, or the wheels. We have 7 major chakras. And each one of these 7 major chakras is associated with a state of psychological maturity. So, while I can't say there's anything wrong with somebody focusing on a particular chakra, they do a meditation or they do something to focus on the root chakra or to focus on the heart chakra or focus on the third eye, they can do that all you want. There's nothing wrong with that. There is a good chance that you might have an awareness associated with the lessons associated with each of the chakras, but the idea of meditating on your third eye chakra to open it up and have psychic experiences is nonsense. If you're working with the chakras trying to get supernatural powers, that is a complete waste of your time. Even if you have the delusionary experience of having some, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's delusional. If you end up releasing some latent spiritual power, it will trap you in a delusion. You do not become aware as a result of those experiences, the visions you have. Forget all of them. Have them if you want, but they're expressions of your psyche. They're like dreams. They have about as much meaning as your average dream when you're sleeping and you dream that you have 3 eyeballs and your partner from across the street, and it's your mind, it's your unconscious mind creating stuff that ultimately doesn't go anywhere. So if you're doing Kundalini work to have an experience, most people get into spiritual work because they're looking to escape some pain. That's okay. I'm one of those people. That's how I got involved in esoteric spiritual practices. I was looking to escape and overcome the overwhelming emotional and psychological pain that I was dealing with. Most people, they want to escape this world. They want to escape the matrix. I'm not going to judge anybody for that. That when you get involved in some kind of energy practice that gives you a physical sensation, that's good. That's the universe dangling a carrot in front of you. The ultimate goal is to do the inner work to become psychologically and spiritually mature. All right, so let's get back to the chakras. So you have 7 chakras, and each one of these chakras has to do with a loka or a realm, but that realm is not another, it's not like the 9 worlds. It's not another dimension. It is a psychological interface between you and objective reality. And Kundalini is the energy force of your psyche, of your psychology, of your human psyche. It's the energy of that. So the root chakra has to do with things having to do with stuff, physical things, having physical, my stuff, little kids, that's mine. It's that root chakra. Just being wrapped up in a blanket will make the root chakra happy. So the lessons associated with the root chakra, if you don't have a healthy root chakra, you're going to have problems when it comes to having your physical needs met. You may become a hoarder. So if somebody's a hoarder, my guess is they've got serious problems with their root chakra because they don't have the awareness to understand that I don't need 7,500 plastic bags. You know, they just, whatever they see, they grab and they bring it and they hoard it in their house, which is, you know, they surround themselves. They can't even walk in their house because there's piles of things they're hoarding. So the lesson of the root chakra is to learn to allow the universe to provide for you. So the root chakra is very important, and this is something we should keep working on. You should keep doing things that empower the root chakra. You know, go and do squats in the gym. That'll work your root chakra. It gives you a grounding in the world, in the physical world. And when you become mature in that, you no longer need to pile on a bunch of stuff and have stuff in your life. The second chakra, which is the sacral chakra, or associated with your sexual desires. Now, people don't realize it, but the second chakra is about individuating. It's the first step of psychological individuation. We've been talking a bit about this a lot. And when a human being goes through pubescence, you know, they're teenagers, what is it that they want to do? They want to make their own mark on the world. They have their own hairstyle. They have their own special music that a billion other people are listening to, but in their mind, it's special, and this is my music. They go and they dance, and they want to meet potential romantic partners as a way of separating, individuating from their parents. So that's the lesson of the sexual chakra. It has a lot to do with learning how to be mature about your boundaries, all kinds of things associated with that. The third chakra, the navel chakra, this has to do with lessons having to do with your power in the world. So people who are, you know, business tycoons, people who have the ability to create their own reality, their own business, you know, this is the lower chakra. Bravery, being willing to go out and fight for a cause greater than yourself. When your navel chakra is imbalanced, you can be cruel. You can be cruel, manipulative, controlling. It means that you don't have enough, again, individuation in your power. So when the Kundalini rises up to the third chakra, you will deal with some kind of psychological lesson associated with your individual power. And once you've learned the lessons associated with that, and you're comfortable with your individual power in the world, then the Kundalini rises up to the heart. And the heart is about connecting to others. And that's why religion focuses so heavily on the heart. Christians talk about the heart, you know, the beating heart of Jesus, whatever. And this is why religious people come and knock on your door. They come giving unsolicited advice. Come to our church. Come to our temple. Come to Scientology, come to whatever it is, and do the thing that we're doing. Worship the God that we're worshiping. If you don't worship our God, you won't have real spirituality. You won't be, you won't go to heaven. This is the immaturity of the heart center. The desire to connect with other people. When it's immature, it says, you must follow, this is the only way. If you don't follow this way, you're doomed. But when the heart becomes mature, then you start to accept people for who they are, and you respect everybody's way, and you say, that's their way. That's how they do it. Good for you. That's not my way, but I love that it's your way, and we can get together, and each of us have our own way, and empower each other and connect on a heart level. But then I go back to my church and you go back to your temple. So once somebody gets through the lessons of the heart, where they no longer need to have everybody be part of their religious thing or everybody be part of their group. When you learn that connecting to your soul is really what brings you the feeling of being connected. Like for me, I live alone. I have very little interaction with people, but I'm not lonely. But you can be surrounded by people. You can be surrounded by family. You can be in a relationship. You can be in a marriage and have kids and still be lonely and depressed. It means that you're not connecting to your soul, being empowered within yourself, which is what you hear whenever you hear about somebody who gets lost in a cult. You'll hear, I was looking for something. I was looking for some kind of connection. This is the heart center. When you overcome those lessons and you learn that, you become mature in that, Kundalini rises up to the throat. And this is where you find the teacher who sits on the mountaintop, the teacher who's by himself now, because he's now come out of the heart center and he says, I don't need that. I don't need a religion. I don't need a group. I don't need a dogma. My identity is not associated with a group. I am one with my own soul, and now I seek that out. And so this is the guru that sits on the mountaintop, and everybody comes to him, and he talks about life and all that. And that's because his throat chakra is being stimulated by Kundalini, so he needs to speak that truth. He still has an attachment to his knowledge, and so, but he needs to work through that by speaking it and teaching it, or she needs to do that, he or she. Kundalini rises up to the third eye, and it is there that the person then begins to see the unity of everything. People want to think, well, it has to do with psychic powers. It's got nothing to do with psychic powers. But when you are in a state of unity where you can see there's no longer a difference between me and you, up and down, right and left, past, present, future, and the third eye is opened, then of course you're going to have knowledge that other people won't have, which will make you look as though you've got some psychic knowledge. And when the Kundalini rises up to the top, this is where you completely disappear. You are no longer an individual. You get lost in the unity of all things. And this is seen in the symbol of the spiritual master who is in samadhi for months at a time. And people go and sit at the feet of the guy who's just been, he doesn't move, he's meditating, he's been in that same spot for 6 weeks or whatever, and oh my God, he's enlightened, he's left his crowd of blah blah blah. But the only thing that's happened is that Kundalini has worked its way and only gone halfway. Once it gets up here, in order to be a complete human, you must then take that knowledge and go back down. You must now go back down through all the chakras and then root it again. So when the energy, the Kundalini goes back down and grounds itself, now and only now are you a human being, a truly spiritually empowered human being. You're no longer a dwarf. We've talked about this before, but dwarves and humans, when you look at them, you can't tell the difference. The dwarf is only got his human psyche that drives him, whereas the man, or the human, who has mind, this is somebody who reflects the divine, connected to his soul. But you can't tell by looking at him or talking to him, you can't tell the difference. And so this is connected to that as well. The Kundalini rises up, you go through all of the maturity of the 7 levels of psychological maturity, because that's what they are. Come all the way to the top, and then you go back down, and then you're a full human. and you're fully mature. You're able to interact physically in the world while not identifying with solely your human self. So that's Kundalini. And we have Chi. You've heard enough about that. Chi is what many people mistake Kundalini for. Chi is life force energy. It is the ambient life force energy that surrounds you. All you have to do is, if you have the ability to split an atom, the smallest thing that we know, you can't even see it, it's so small. If you can split an atom of hydrogen, you've got a nuclear explosion. There's so much energy around you all the time. And Chi energy is something that we can generate in ourselves. And for that, to want to know how to work with Chi, we have to understand the three Dantians, or the three cauldrons. One is in the navel, one is in the heart, one is up here in the third eye. Superimposed. The chakras are sort of superimposed over the Dantians. And so you can have, there's a third eye chakra as well as the upper Dantian. You have a heart chakra as well as a cauldron behind it. And same with the navel. You have the navel chakra, and behind that you have the cauldron of the lower self. These three cauldrons are places where Chi energy can be stored and processed. And there's all kinds of energy practices to do that. This is why whenever you do any kind of Chinese energy work, even if it's something as simple as karate or tai chi or something, what'll happen? They talk about the Dantian, even though there's three. They talk about the Dantian, which means the navel center, and it shows the importance of the navel center. If you don't have a functioning navel center, you're not a healthy human. The navel center is crucial. The navel center is the main processing plant for life force energy, and that's why when you do the energy work, even the stuff that I teach you how to do, and I tell you to focus on the navel and to ground into the navel, so that all of that energy now that you've created, that's in your aura, and all, you bring it into the navel center, because the navel center processes it and sends it wherever it needs to go. So it's a giant processing center. And you have the heart center. Now the heart center can work directly with Chi. And you can work, here this would be the Shen. They call that the spirit. It's associated with the soul. That would be the masculine part of it. You can work on the Shen here in the heart. Even though it's in the same neighborhood, it's not the same as the heart mind or the Shin or the lightning energy. They're next to each other and they interact, of course, but they're not the same energy. And then you have the upper Dantian, which is if you follow right hand path Chinese exercises, you will work from Jing, which is sexual energy, to Qi, which is the navel center energy, and then Shen, which is the spirit energy. But you can do exercises up here in this third Dantian. And then, so that's some basics of how Qi works. And then you have the heart mind. You have the emperor's bodyguard. You have the Shin. This is the lightning energy that is surrounding the soul. The Shen is inside the lightning center, or the lightning energy. So when you work with that, then you get to work with intent, because then there's Yi. So as we talked about before, the right-hand path of energy work, which is virtually every other Chinese energy practice, you go from Jing to Qi to Shen. sexual energy to life force energy to spirit or soul energy. The left-hand path, we go from Chi, which is the life force energy of the navel, to Shi, which is the Chi, which is the life force energy of the navel. Chi to Shi, which is the lightning energy of the heart. So Chi to Shi to Yi, and that goes directly to the intent. This is why working the left-hand path, you become more of the sorcerer, more of the wizard. You have the ability, seemingly, to most people, to change objective reality, to move through objective reality in ways that seem unreal to most people. And so this is what we do here. When you are doing this, as you know, you are doing Kundalini exercises to stimulate the Kundalini and rise up the spine. You are doing Kundalini yogic exercises to open up the heart center. You are doing mantra, which is Kundalini as well. Runes are Kundalini. When you work with mantras, you are taking that power of Kundalini to balance and shift your unconscious psyche. So the things that are imbalanced, the improper understandings of the universe, the unresolved psychological traumas, blocks, issues, things from past lives as well as from your childhood. When you chant the correct mantra, Kundalini goes in and starts to organize your unconscious and clear away all of the things that are blocking you from being what you want. So we're doing Kundalini work, yogic work. We're doing mantra work. We're doing Qigong, where we're just dealing directly with life force energy. And then I don't necessarily tell you which one is which, because they're just all put together in one session. When you click play and you follow through with the practices that I'm doing, you're stimulating all of these energies and learning how to have them come and work together as one. And I think that's where we are now in this stage of the world. The Hopi myth of the creation of human beings. I'm not Native American. I don't have any connection other than what everybody else can hear. What I know of the Hopi understanding of how human beings evolved on the planet is that in the beginning there was just one tribe. There was one tribe of humans, and there were seven. Was there seven? No, there were four. Sorry. There were four clans within that one tribe, and those four clans were associated with the four elements. Of course, there's five, but they talk about four. And according to that mythology, the Great Spirit said to the four clans, I'm going to send you off in four directions so that you will learn from your element, whether it's earth, air, fire, or water. And those people went off into different parts of the world. They evolved differently to become different racial types, and each one of the racial types has a connection with a specific energy. And after a time when all of the four clans have gone and learned whatever lessons, mastered their elements, then in the times that we're in now, everybody comes back together, ideally, and shares the knowledge with each other, and then human beings evolve to the next level. And whether or not we as humans follow through with that and do our job and come together and share the knowledge, determines whether or not we go through another, epoch of misery and delusion, or if we rise above and become what we were all meant to be. And this is one of those times. This time we have an ability to come together. And what is happening is that, I'm not the only person doing it, by the way, but what is happening is that the Ascended Masters are bringing people like me who synthesize these sciences so that you're not just doing one thing. I'm not just working on Kundalini. I'm not just working on Chi. I'm not just working on the chakras. I'm not just working on lightning energy. I'm working with all of them so that we can become the most evolved, most balanced, and the most complete that we're designed to be. And I believe this is the time for that. I think that's my job. My job is to come here and, in the best way that I can, with whatever knowledge and abilities I have, and I'm always learning. But I'm coming here and fitting this stuff together and bringing it together and giving it to you. Here, you see what you can make out of this. And if we can do that, we can then, as humans, we can overcome the attack that is being waged and has been successful. I mean, the world takeover has already happened, and it was a successful takeover. The corporations have successfully taken over our governments, period. Our media, our governments, and the minds of the average human. And it is my belief that the combination of these energies, which you get from doing these practices, like for instance, you will not, this is just a fact, you will not be able to open up the lightning energy of the heart if you don't know how to flip the switches and turn it on. You can stumble through life and your Kundalini if you learn how to live maturely, get rid of your victim mentalities, learn how to be present and fearless and selfless, and understand your role and follow your soul. Your Kundalini will rise by itself. You won't have to do anything. Chi, same idea. The idea of Chi energy is that Chi flows freely when you do not have any blocks inside of you. And, working with Qigong is a physical way of tinkering with the meridians and the energy, but the end result of that is that your consciousness shifts. So you can either work on the consciousness and then the body will follow, or you can apply pressure on the bodily systems, which will then stimulate you to have to become aware in order for that physical practice to work. Just to give you an example, I was thinking about this before I came on today. My teachers, the people, the two people whom I learned from, who taught me this, and from this I reverse engineered this stuff. But those guys that I learned from were, and still are to this day, the most powerful individuals energetically that I've ever experienced. And they weren't even as powerful as their teachers. But they had power that, unrivaled, supernatural power, because they had so much lightning energy in their body. They had so much Chi. But they didn't have awareness. So their Kundalini, if I was to look at their Kundalini was non-existent, because both of them were extremely psychologically immature. And so that was a very hard lesson for me to learn, that, if I master this stuff, I'm not going to automatically be enlightened. That guy sure as heck isn't enlightened, but he's got the power of a god. It'd be very easy if I didn't know any better to think that he was enlightened, but that guy's one of the least enlightened people I've ever seen. So these energies that we're working with, they themselves are not the end goal. They are tools to make your body, the cells of your body, the organs in your body, the Dantians, the Chakras, all of these things are tools and aspects of your body that your soul can use to completely now create a vessel through which the soul can shine unimpeded, without any blocks or any imbalances. Now, we're all human, so there is no such thing as a perfect human. Any human who says that they've achieved enlightenment is either lying or delusional or both, and you should run away from them as quickly as possible. Any spiritual teacher that does not acknowledge their limited human self is somebody you should not learn from. A true teacher will say, will acknowledge their limitations and will say, my job is to make you better than me. I want you to surpass me. And a teacher that doesn't say that, well, at the very least, they have some growing to do. They might have some really great things to teach. But those are the kinds of teachers, like I read Carlos Castaneda for years, really empowering until I got to the last couple of his books. And then I realized there's something wrong with this guy. And as now we know, he was a fraud and a narcissist. And a lot of people died as a result of him. He's dead, so I can talk about him. Osho is another one. Osho was a fraud. He was a narcissist, a drug addict, but he had a lot of very wise things to say. Even when he was, many people don't realize that Osho was Sri Bhagwan Rajneesh, who was, he changed his name to run away from his past as a fraudulent teacher. Those are just two examples of people who had knowledge and had wisdom, but they, for whatever reason, were not able or willing to reveal to the world their limitations. So anyway, I'm starting to get off into other stuff, but that's a general overview, and I'm going to now start talking about what we do here in the Warrior 90 Day as a unified energy practice. Because we're unifying the three energies, Chi, Kundalini, and heart, mind, or lightning energy. And you'll start seeing me talk about it like that. I think that's a good way to promote the practice as well. It's a unified energy practice. All right, I'm happy to take any questions. This is a question and answer, which means if you have a question, you want me to, you think I might have the answer to something that you honestly don't know, you write the word question in all caps, and then you write your question. If you don't have a question, but you have an honest feeling, I'm afraid, I'm happy, I'm scared, I'm thankful, I'm angry, you can write that too. Those are the only things that I'm looking for. Anything else, unfortunately, is just static that I have to scroll through. So, having said that, now let me take a look and see what's going on in terms of questions. All right, we don't have a lot of traffic here today. How many people are, let's see, we've got 20 people watching. Okay, so as I'm talking, if you have questions, you can start writing them. All right, so Thundra Staves Rangel says hello. Thundra is one of my certified astrologers, and you can go to her website, which is Thundra, THUNDRA .thunderwizard.com. And then we also have drjwyrd.thunderwizard.com. That's drjwyrd.thunderwizard.com, and he is a certified rune reader, so you can go to his website. And then we've got Vincent. Vincent, you used to be the first one. They're getting ahead of you. I'm just giving you a hard time. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. He is one of my certified astrologers as well. You can go to his website, vincent.thunderwizard.com. If you want to see all of my certified readers, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com or runereadings.thunderwizard.com, and you'll see all the people who have been certified. If you want me to do for you what I just did for them, which is to promote their website, which I provide because they have passed, been certified by me, you can go to lockdown.thunderwizard.com. And if you take those courses and if you pass, again, I didn't think about it when I created it, but the truth is what you're paying for the lockdown package really just covers me putting up a website for you and you know, maintaining that for you. I didn't think about it when I put it together, but so you get a hell of a lot. I think it's a damn good deal. Go check it out for yourself. Lockdown.thunderwizard.com. All right. T-Nix. So honest feeling. I didn't see that. You know, I don't have my glasses on. That's why I need you to write in all caps. If you have a question, you write question in all caps. It kind of annoys me that I have to keep repeating this every time I come on. The whole point of it is so that I see what you're writing. I want to hear you. I want to answer you. I want to acknowledge you. It's for your benefit that I tell you to do that. T-Nix, honest feeling. You're dazzling and amazing soul on this earth. Thank you. That's very kind. It wasn't necessarily a feeling as it was a compliment, but thank you for the compliment. I, like anybody else, I want to be loved and appreciated, and it makes me feel good to know that I'm helpful. Thundra Staves Rangel, question. Could you talk a little bit more about Jing? I asked for one word in a meditation practice a couple months back, and Jing is what I was given. Well, Jing, you know, the truth is there's people out there that have more knowledge about that than I do, because the right-hand path practitioners, they really focus on that. I never did because I don't have to. Because the practice I do, it's just, I mean, the Maoshan stuff, the Jing gets, I don't really know what happens. It gets empowered. We just move straight to the Qi. We don't spend all that time on Jing. So there's a lot of stuff associated with Jing and with psychology and your psyche, your sexual center, that I can't, I'm not expert enough in it to really do it justice. So, but I will say this. So when you look at the right-hand Taoist path, Jing, Qi to Shen, it is showing you going from the most dense to the least dense. And so the most dense of the energies in the body is Jing. So the fluids, the sexual fluids in the body. Qi itself isn't a physical, there's nothing physical about it. It's energy. But the Jing is actual, like, physical stuff. So if in meditation the word Jing came to mind, it means you need to be focusing on that. That my take on that is that there's some dissociation. So there's been some trauma, most likely. I don't know, I'm guessing. There's been some trauma that has dissociated you from literally the sexual fluids in your body, but of course all of the psychology associated with that. So if there's been any sexual damage, any sexual trauma, that could create a dissociation, which means that your Jing is not getting the attention that it needs. So there's no shortage of places to look for herbs that you can take to empower it, meditations that you can do. At the very least, you can meditate and maybe get counseling, but do something to work on that. You can meditate on the second chakra, but meditating on that and seeking healing in the sexual realm, that will definitely help. Again, I'm not the expert on Jing, so there are other people that could give you more answers than that, but that's my attempt to answer your question. drjweir.thunderwizard.com question: does the Wuji energy associate with an energy center? No. The Wuji is, it means the emptiness. So Wuji is like in the Norse tradition, Wuji is Gununga gap, the yawning chasm. It represents the potential energy. So it hasn't been manifested. So we work a lot with Wuji in the Maoshan tradition. When I start teaching the 5 elements in person with people, we can start practically doing things so you can experience that. You've seen probably videos of people who claim to do use Wuji to, Tai Chi to throw people and all that. I can't tell you whether or not that's true. I've never tested those guys out or experienced them. In my mind, in my ego, I think that I could, stand with those guys and trade hands, and that I'd be able to overcome them because I have the Maoshan energy and they don't. But I honestly don't know. I have no idea if these guys really have any power or not. But the concept of Wuji, emptiness, empty force, empty power, is a real thing. And in order to get the Maoshan energy to really flow, you have to go to this place of emptiness, which is very difficult, and most people can't ever get there. It's like trying to tell a blind person what blue looks like. If you can't see and you've never seen a color, then no amount of description is going to mean anything. It's just going to be meaningless. So for a lot of people, talking about Wuji is meaningless because they can't get there. They can't let go of their physical body. And to be in your physical body and having let go of it, again, a lot of people they think they know what I'm talking about. But again, it's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know. So what was your question again? Does the Wuji energy associate with an energy center? No, there isn't a particular energy center that associates with Wuji. Wuji is a state of being that goes beyond the energies. It goes beyond the energy centers. It's before the energy centers. And it's the most powerful place you can be. If you can achieve a state of Wuji, then that's where you walk. You're walking in a war zone and the bullets are flying through you. Or a state of where this is what in the Matrix movies, when they're flying all over the place, and they're moving like that. It's that they're sort of hinting at the state of Wuji, where you're not in one place, you don't really exist, but you do. You're in that state of non-being, and it's the most powerful place to be. It is said that Confucius went to go meet Lao Tzu, and he went and met with Lao Tzu because they were supposedly contemporaries, whereas Confucius was the guy who talks about how to live in society and the laws and the practices and how to be a good citizen, and Lao Tzu was this mystic who rode backwards on a cow, on an ox. He's riding backwards on an ox. He doesn't follow the normal. To him, when you start talking to Lao Tzu about the proper way to live in society, Lao Tzu goes, I don't know what you're talking about. So Confucius goes to meet with Lao Tzu, and he comes back, and Confucius's students say, "Tell us about Lao Tzu." And he says, "Well, you know about dragons. You don't know where they come from. You don't know where they're going." And he says, Lao Tzu's a dragon. In other words, I don't have any idea what the hell this guy was talking about. He was on a whole other plane of existence. I didn't get him. He was powerful and mysterious, and I didn't get it. That is the state of Wuji. All right. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. What chakra is related to selfless giving? That's a good question, but there isn't a chakra that's related to selfless giving. Selfless giving is selfless giving. The chakras are about maturity. So you can apply selfless giving to any one of them. So if you're looking for a place like, if I'm going to do my thing and try and figure out what your real question is. Your real question, if I'm hearing you right, is, your question is, I'm having a hard time giving selflessly and I feel a lot of pressure to do that. So what chakra can I meditate on which will give me this power of selfless giving? So it makes me want to say to you, be okay with your selfishness. Maybe you're becoming aware that you are in fact human. That up until now you've been trying to live so much for other people that you've told yourself, I'm this selfless person. And now you're becoming aware that, holy crap, I'm not selfless. Everything I do, there's a selfish agenda. And if you can accept that about yourself without any judgment, just accept that I never do anything without some kind of selfish agenda. Then the consciousness of that, being aware of that, is what is going to protect you from acting out unconsciously, selfishly, and destructively. So the ironic thing is, if you want to truly be selfless, you must first satisfy all of your selfish needs. And in the process of it, trying to achieve that, you become aware when it's destructive and when it's not destructive. When you fall in love with a girl and she hurts your feelings and leaves you, you're going to get hurt, you're going to get angry, and you're going to get resentful, and you're going to want to get back at her. And then at some point you realize that's just my selfishness. There's no requirement that she has to love me. I wanted something from her. She didn't give it to me. And that's okay. She has the right to, I just want her to be happy. I'm sad, but I just want her to be happy. You've resolved that. You acknowledged your selfish agenda. You saw that chasing after that is destructive to her and to you. I'm giving you an example. I have no idea if you've done this, so I'm not psychically talking about you. This is an example. So there is no chakra for selfless giving. The closest one would be the heart center, but the heart center is as selfish as anything. If we were to talk about an astrological sign, that could be associated with the heart center would be Cancer. Cancer is loving and nurturing. Cancer people just give and give and give, but they have these claws. They don't really give unselfishly. They take hostages. And as long as you're a pet and a hostage, they nurture you. But if you try and run out of their grasp, well, they lose it. So that's the irony. The heart center would be the place of selfless giving, but the heart center is the most selfish. This is the meditation. Learning how to embrace all of your selfish agendas, and at the same time trying to have empathy for others, knowing your boundaries, where your boundaries end and other people's boundaries begin. So it sounds to me like this question really is highlighting that you are coming to a higher awareness about your needs, your boundaries, and other people, and how to juggle all of that. And that's the meditation. So just keep meditating on that question and you will learn it. We give ourselves over to our soul, or we give ourselves over to a deity, which is a symbolic of our own soul. We give ourselves over to some spiritual power, and that while we are meditating and struggling through this, the act of worshiping a deity, giving or worshiping your own soul for that matter, that act of the combination of struggling with these things while we give ourselves over to our practice, that's when the answers come. This is why people who don't have a spiritual practice, unfortunately, they struggle with this and they trip over themselves and they never seem to, same kind of thing with people who are, constantly poor all the time. I read the very sad comment of the individual who had a really great question about, I have all these things to give to the world, but I never really get past it. And then they erased that and then said that I actually learned about abundance by stealing. And I went, oh, that, now we know. That shows somebody hasn't learned how to give themselves over to their soul and trust their soul. We're all learning, so it's not I'm not trying to judge that person. We're all doing our best. Did I answer your question? Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Honest feeling. I feel like I'm being called to selflessly give, teach, and help others. This makes me feel uncomfortable. Perhaps it's related to my spiritual name, Gebo the Shaman. Well, I think that now, in your comment, you're sort of highlighting what I just babbled on about. So, keep doing what you're doing. Vincent, you're going in the right direction. Let's go back to the one of the two Christian quotes that I appreciate. I hate the rest of it, but these two quotes I like. One of them is the beginning of the Gospel of Thomas, the first verse in the Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, "Do not stop seeking until you find." He didn't say seek and you find. He's saying don't stop. Keep seeking. Keep seeking until you find. And it gives you the idea that this is hard work. I'm seeking until you find. Don't stop seeking until you find. When you find, you will become disturbed. When disturbed, you will marvel and reign over all. So that's where you're at right now, Vincent. You've been seeking and seeking and seeking, and now you're finding, and it's disturbing you. As you say, it makes me uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is your discomfort of letting go of the control you thought you had. So I know you well enough to know that you know this about yourself, that in times past when you thought you were being selfless and loving, you were actually being selfish, as we all do. But you told yourself you were being selfless. You look back on it, you realize you were selfish. And you realize that selfishness is harmful to you and to others. And so that's disturbing, because when, you thought you were selfless, it was really about controlling others. And now you realize that controlling others is abusive to them and it's damaging to you. And now you don't have any control, because this is what happens when we talked about Wuji, that state of emptiness. State of emptiness means I'm not controlling anything here. I'm just letting things flow through me. That's a frightening place to be, especially if we've gotten the false understanding, which most of us do. We all do as we grow up, we grow through it, hopefully, is that trying to control our environment accomplishes nothing. And it's when we don't have control, when we're not controlling things, we are submitting and surrendering to the Wuji, the emptiness, the power of potential, that we then seem to act with real power and direction. And from the outside, people go, wow, that guy's really got control of his life. And he goes, no, I'm just submitting and surrendering to the flow here. I have no idea what's going to happen in 10 seconds from now. I have an experience of myself. I have self-empowerment, but in terms of controlling anything outside of me, I have no control over any of that. And you're having that experience now. You're now starting to become disturbed. You sought, now you're finding, you're in the state of being disturbed. And then if you continue to stay in that state, continue to submit to your practice, submit to your evolution, surrender to your evolution, then you will marvel and reign over all. 10x, honest question. Okay, so you don't need to, I just need a question or an honest feeling. Anyway, you can say it however you want. Honest question. What is spirituality? That's a huge question. I mean, think about that. That's like saying, can you give me, tell me exactly what the science of physics is? It's a huge, huge concept. I can't answer it in one, tiny little soundbite. So here's what that tells me. Tinix, is that right? Here's what that tells me. Now, I could be wrong. It tells me that you're new to the channel and that you haven't done a lot of the practices on this channel. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that huge question, which is very superficial and huge. I mean, what do you want me to say? Love is spirituality. I could give you some soundbite. I could give you some little spiritual whatever, which really won't answer anything for you, won't tell you anything. But I invite you to do the practices, to live in the question. You don't have to have the answer. Live in the question, which is another way of saying, again, what is my definition of enlightenment? Enlightenment is not a state of bliss where everything is that's not enlightenment. You can be in that state and be enlightened, and you can also be murderously rageful or suicidally depressed and still be in a state of enlightenment. Enlightenment means that you have all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your instincts, all of your drives. You experience all of them 100% without any judgment. You don't judge yourself for wanting to steal or kill or, commit suicide or, or lust, envy. You don't judge yourself for any of those feelings, because feelings you don't have to identify with your feelings. You have to feel them, but your identity doesn't have to be associated with your feelings. So when you have all your thoughts, all your feelings, all of your desires, all of your impulses, and then you still have the consciousness to know how to take constructive action that is helpful to both you and all of consciousness, that's all that matters. The state of being completely aware of yourself and knowing what to do. That is enlightenment. You can't get any more enlightened than that. And you can be the most screwed up, emotionally, psychologically screwed up person in the world, but if you're taking appropriate action that is beneficial for you and others, you are the epitome of enlightenment. So that's spirituality. Now, how do you accomplish that? For me, I have to do this. I have to do this work. I have to do the energy work. I have to do the spiritual practice. It's not just sitting around talking about it or thinking about it. That gets me nowhere. I have to do the energy work. I have to do the mantra. I have to do the qigong, whatever combination that you're doing. And that's why I give people these things. And so that's why my first question to somebody who strikes me as somebody who's new to the channel, when they ask me these huge, super general questions that nobody can answer in one sentence, it makes me ask, are you doing the practices? When you do the practices, you will feel a connection to something larger than you that makes you feel connected to yourself. It brings discomfort, as I said, when you keep seeking and you find you become disturbed, but you are connected to a power that fills you, that gives you trust to continue to take fearless action towards your highest good. And people who don't have this don't tend to take those actions. They stay stuck in their head and they go to, cults and ridiculous seminars that tell you to just stay in your feelings. Right? All right, I'm getting off subject here. All right, I have to get rid of some spam. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Medc Leo, welcome to the channel. If you have a question, as you can see, people are writing the word question. Runes, if you really want to know what runes are, welcome to the channel. You're obviously brand new. Go to my channel, Thunder Wizard, the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel, and all you have to do is look in my playlists and you'll see runes. So spend some time on the channel watching the video on runes, and then you don't have to ask that question on this. You can go answer that for yourself. And I invite you to go spend time on my channel. I've got 3 rune books. If you want to read them, they'll tell you what runes are. Go put some energy into learning, and this is a channel where you can learn. Darmi of Alba, honest feeling. I feel sad because my girlfriend lives in Australia. I'm from the UK and I won't be able to see her for the foreseeable future. She's unjabbed, so she's having a hard time right now. Yeah, well, I can't comment on your feeling, but I can feel for you. Having just gotten back from Australia, what is it, six weeks ago, 2 months ago? I was in Australia and I had to leave, and I was also escaping the craziness that I knew was going to come, which did. And Australia is not someplace I would want to be and be unjabbed. It would be really tough. That's why I came here. So I feel for you. Aztoella question. In a fight, again, question in all caps. Why? So I won't miss it. In a fight, either physical or spiritual, according to your experience, what is the best state of mind to be in? There's just so many things to that question that I makes me want to ask you about all kinds of stuff. Look, there is no state of mind that's better for one thing or something else. Let me just put it to you this way. I have taken a vow of nonviolence, and I took it because I started to learn how to fight, and I learned how to fight really good, and I became, very well capable of taking care of myself on a physical level. And I then took a vow of nonviolence. And in that vow, I first said I would never use my martial abilities on anybody unless they were being attacked by somebody else. And then I thought about it and I said, no, I'm not even going to manifest that. So my vow of nonviolence is that I will not even manifest any scenario where I have to defend somebody else. And I never have. So I encourage you to stop thinking this way. Thinking in terms of how to protect yourself in a fight, you're setting yourself up for a fight. You're setting yourself up for somebody to attack you. I appreciate the question. If you were in my martial arts class, we might have a different story about it. But on this channel, my first instinct is to say, welcome to the channel. You're obviously new. Welcome. And I encourage you to do what I just said. Do the exercises. Do the practices. And if you want to do the Mao Shan practices, then you can learn how to eventually get to the place where you fight on a spiritual level, and there's no such thing as physical fighting anymore. But when you get to a state when you're doing the lightning qigong, anything negative runs from you. Spiritual or physical, nothing comes at you like that. So you don't have to think like that. Like, how can I be in the best state of mind for a fight? So welcome to the channel, and I invite you to watch more videos and to do the practices and subscribe even. And that question will never become relevant to you. Dharma of Alba, honest feeling. It felt good to get that off my chest. Yeah. Well, I understand that. I have my own group, and I have my own teacher, and I have to get all my feelings off of my chest as well. I don't see any questions here anymore. So we'll do a little bit of business. So as I said, being on this channel, listening to me talk is 1%. You get 1% benefit from listening to me blab. This is a universe of action. Change only comes through action. In terms of changing your life, that is a result of changing your neural pathways. Your neural pathways will not change through thinking or feeling. Your neural pathways only change through repetitive actions. So this is why, for me, a truly spiritual practice includes all of these energy, physical practices. They shift the energy in the meridians. They shift the neurology of the brain and give you an ability to take different actions, new actions in your life, and your life will get better. This is what I want for you. I look for that for myself. I've achieved some measure of it. I want to share that with you. The Mao Shan practice. Okay, so maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Right now, if you go to that website, you can save some money on all 5 of the elements. I've uploaded 4. I've finished editing the 5th one, which is the earth, and I'm going to upload that in any day now. Could be tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to upload it. Once I upload that earth element and I've got all 5 elements, then the price is going to go up and it's going to stay there. So if you want to save yourself some money on that, go there now before I upload the earth element. And again, I want to stress that what I think is most important in this day and age that we live is to operate from that lightning center of the heart center. We need to be able to not only act in ways that protect our own soul, our own identity, but we need to tap into a spiritual force that can actually do some good. You don't want to go out there and honk your horn in Ottawa, Canada, or you don't want to go and march in Melbourne, but you want to do something to shift the abuse that is being heaped upon the world right now, the corporatocracy that is seeking to take away your soul, then this is, in my experience, the most powerful way to do that. Thunderwizard.com. Click around 90-day challenge. If you want to wait until the 1st, that's a good idea because they charge you the moment that you subscribe. But if you can't wait and you sign up now, let me know after the 1st, and I will go back and I will I'll give you back whatever you paid for that first month, even though you're only in it for a couple of days. All right. That's it. Nobody has anything else to say, no other questions. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you're doing well. I'm enjoying the 35-degree weather here in balmy tropical Florida. I hope you're happy wherever you are. Stay safe. And if you want to know, everybody's getting Omicron. I just had it. I got over it about a week or so ago. If you are one of those people, unfortunately, that's getting Omicron, or if you want to find out what you can do to protect yourself, go to COVID19criticalcare.com. That's the word COVID, the numbers 19criticalcare.com. And go look around for all of the herbs and vitamins and off-label prescriptions that you can get to protect yourself from Omicron, because everybody's going to get it. But the good news is that once we've all had it, maybe we can finally be done with all this nonsense. Okay, very good. All right, that's it, guys. Nothing else for me. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all very soon.